The silver ships appeared on a Tuesday morning, hanging in Earth's orbit like metal clouds against the blue sky. Commander Dektar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small green and brown planet slowly turn below them. His four eyes moved constantly, scanning the data streams that flowed across his command screens. "This cannot be correct," he said to his science officer. "The readings show this planet should be uninhabitable." The science officer, a tall creature with purple skin and too many arms, checked his instruments again. "The data is accurate, Commander. Surface temperatures range from -62 plus 50 degrees. The atmosphere contains 21% oxygen, which is toxic to most species. The planet experiences massive storms, ground tremors, and volcanic activity." Dektar shook his head. "Yet, our sensors detect over 7 billion intelligent life forms on the surface. How is this possible?" Lauren Fleet had traveled for 3 years to reach this system after intercepting strange radio signals. The transmissions had been primitive, but clearly artificial. Songs, stories, and communications from a species that called themselves humans. The signals had come from a world that should have been dead. On Earth, Dr. Mingi Kim was working late in her laboratory at the Seoul Space Research Center. She had been tracking unusual objects in Earth's orbit for the past week. The objects were too large to be asteroids and moved in patterns that defied natural explanation. When her computer finally confirmed what she had suspected, her hands began to shake. "Artificial objects," she whispered to herself. "Alien ships." She reached for her phone and dialed the emergency contact number for the Global Defense Network. Within minutes, alarms were ringing in military bases around the world. The first confirmed alien contact in human history was about to begin. Captain Dong-Yuk Lee received the call while he was eating breakfast with his family. As Earth's leading military space officer, he had trained for this moment his entire career. He kissed his wife goodbye and drove to the launch facility, not knowing if he would ever see his family again. The diplomatic team assembled quickly. Hiram Park, Earth's most skilled translator and cultural specialist, boarded the shuttle alongside Captain Lee. She carried with her a collection of Earth's languages, mathematics, and peaceful symbols. Her job was to make sure the first conversation with aliens went well. "What do we know about them?" she asked Captain Lee as their shuttle rose toward orbit. "Not much," he replied. "They have multiple ships, advanced technology, and they seem to be waiting for something. Maybe they want to talk." The alien fleet had positioned itself in a perfect circle around Earth. Each ship was 3 times larger than Earth's biggest space station. They made no aggressive moves, but their presence was impossible to ignore. Every person on Earth looked up at the night sky and saw the lights of alien ships. Commander Dektar studied the approaching human shuttle. The small craft was primitive, powered by chemical rockets that produced toxic exhaust. The hull was made of simple metal alloys that would melt in most civilized star systems. Yet somehow, these creatures had built it and were brave enough to approach his fleet. "They are coming to us," his communications officer reported. "The small craft contains 3 life forms. Prepare the translation matrix," Dektar ordered, "and keep weapons ready. Any species that survives on that death world must be extremely dangerous." The meeting took place in the cargo bay of the Valorian flagship. The air was carefully filtered to remove the toxic oxygen that humans needed to breathe. Captain Lee, Hiram Park, and their pilots stepped out of their shuttle wearing environmental suits. They faced Commander Dektar and his delegation across a space that seemed as large as a football field. "Welcome," Hiram Park said, her voice carried by radio waves to the alien translation system. "You come in peace from the planet Earth." The translation matrix worked quickly, converting her words into patterns that the Valorian mind could understand. Commander Dektar stepped forward, his 4 eyes studying the strange bipedal creatures before him. "We are the Valorian expedition. "Fleet," he replied. "We have come to study your world and understand how life survived in such terrible conditions." Captain Lee smiled behind his helmet. "Earth isn't terrible. It's our home. We've learned to live with the weather and the environment. It makes us strong." Statement caused confusion among the alien delegation. The science officer whispered urgently to Commander Dekta, "Sir, our scans showed that their planet experiences regular catastrophic events. Massive storms that would destroy our cities. Ground movements that would kill millions. How do they call this normal?" Hiram Park noticed the aliens' distress. "Perhaps we should explain how humans live on Earth. We have many cities built to withstand earthquakes and hurricanes. Our people learn from childhood how to survive in difficult conditions." "Survive?" Commander Dektar's voice rose in pitch. "You mean your young are trained for combat against your own planet?" "Not combat." Captain Lee laughed. "We just learn to be prepared. Every school teaches earthquake drills. Every family has emergency supplies. When a big storm comes, we help each other through it." The alien delegation exchanged worried glances. Their home worlds were peaceful places with stable weather and calm environments. The idea of teaching children to prepare for disasters was horrifying to them. "Tell us about your history," Commander Dektar said carefully. "How long have your people existed?" Hiram Park began to explain human civilization, mentioning wars, plagues, and natural disasters as routine parts of history. She spoke of the Black Death, world wars, and nuclear weapons as if they were ordinary events. She described how humans had survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and asteroid impacts. With each word, the aliens became more terrified. The translation system picked up terms like genocide, nuclear warfare, and global conflict. These creatures had not only survived their death world, they had fought wars against each other using the planet's own hostile materials. "Your people," Commander Dektar said slowly, "have used atomic weapons against each other." "Yes, but we learned from that mistake," Captain Lee replied. "We've worked hard to avoid nuclear war since then, though we still keep the weapons, just in case." The meeting ended abruptly when the alien delegation realized that humans had turned their planet's deadly resources into weapons. They had taken uranium from the ground, poison gases from the atmosphere, and disease organisms from their environment, then used them against their own species as the human shuttle departed. Commander Dektar stared at the small blue planet. "Below, any species that survives on that world by choice must be insane," he told his officers. "And any species that thrives there must be the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." The first contact was over, but the real terror was just beginning. The alien fleet moved away from Earth like frightened birds fleeing a storm. Commander Thekta ordered his ships to retreat to what he believed was a safe distance. The moon looked like a perfect hiding place, far enough from the dangerous humans, but close enough to study them. "Establish a research station on the dark side of that satellite," he commanded his science team. "We must understand these creatures before we decide what to do with them." The research station grew quickly on the moon's surface. Advanced alien technology carved tunnels into the rock and built observation equipment that could watch Earth from across the void. 3 of the galaxy's best scientists took charge of the operation. Verikil came from the depths. It's an ocean world where his people lived in peaceful underwater cities. His blue skin and gill slits made him look like a walking fish, but his mind was sharp and curious. He had never seen a planet with such violent weather. Zenthara belonged to the Silicon Collective, species that had evolved from living crystals. Her body looked like colored glass, shaped into a humanoid form. She communicated through light patterns that danced across her transparent skin. Her people lived on quiet worlds where the biggest danger was a small earthquake once every 1,000 years. The third scientist was Fluxinen, an energy being from the plasma territories. He had no solid body, existing as a collection of controlled electrical fields held together by advanced technology. His people lived in space stations, powered by stars, never needing to touch the surface of any planet. Together, these three scientists began the most important study in galactic history. They pointed their instruments at Earth and started to record everything humans did on Earth. Dr. Minho Choi was leading his own research team. The aliens had left behind small pieces of debris during their hasty retreat. These fragments contained technology far beyond anything humans had ever seen. His laboratory in Seoul worked around the clock to understand how the alien devices functioned. The metal composition is unlike anything in our periodic table, reported engineer Soo-yeon Nam. She had been studying a piece of alien hull, no bigger than a coin, for 3 days. It seems to repair itself when damaged. Kwan Song, another engineer, was examining what appeared to be a computer chip. This processes information faster than our best supercomputers, but it's smaller than a grain of rice. If we could understand how it works. Meanwhile, Colonel Tai-Woo Park was preparing Earth's defenses. He worked with intelligence analyst Gae Young-lim to develop strategies for dealing with the alien threat. They assumed the aliens would return, possibly with hostile intentions. "We need to be ready for anything," Colonel Park told his staff. "These beings have technology we can't match, but they seemed frightened of us. That might be our advantage." On the moon, the alien scientists were becoming more confused with each passing day. Their instruments recorded human activities that made no sense to their minds. "Look at this," Vrakel said, pointing to a screen. "Humans are deliberately climbing up the sides of tall mountains. They carry heavy equipment and risk their lives for no apparent reason." Synthera's light patterns flickered with concern and observed these others. "They descend deep into the ocean using primitive breathing apparatus. They enter environments that would kill them in minutes without protection." Most disturbing, added Fluxinum, his energy field crackling with anxiety. "They seem to enjoy these activities. Our sensors detect elevated heart rates and brain chemicals associated with pleasure." The aliens had discovered human extreme sports. They watched in horror as people jumped from airplanes, climbed frozen waterfalls, and rode bicycles down mountain slopes at dangerous speeds. To the aliens, these looked like elaborate suicide rituals. "Perhaps they worship death," Rakal suggested. "Many primitive species have death cults, but the real shock came when they intercepted human entertainment broadcasts. Television shows, movies, and video games revealed a side of humanity that terrified the observers even more than their extreme sports. They create fictional scenarios more dangerous than their daily reality," Synthera observed, her light patterns turning dark red with fear. "And they consumed this content for entertainment." The aliens watched action movies where humans fought impossible odds and survived explosions that would level cities. They saw horror films where humans deliberately frightened themselves with stories of monsters and disasters. They analyzed video games where humans pretended to be soldiers, monsters, or survivors in post-apocalyptic worlds. "This species is mentally unstable," Fluxinen concluded. "They not only survive in hell, they create imaginary versions of even worse hells for fun." The observation period continued for weeks. Aliens documented human behavior with growing alarm. They watched humans eat foods that would poison most galactic species. They observed humans exercising by deliberately damaging their muscles, then allowing them to heal stronger than before. They recorded human festivals where people celebrated surviving historical disasters. They watched humans laugh while consuming substances that burned their mouths and made them sweat. They documented human sports where people deliberately collided with each other at high speeds. The breaking point came when they discovered human military training, soldiers learning to fight in conditions that would kill most aliens, pilots practicing combat maneuvers that would crush the bodies of any civilized species. Marines training to survive in environments ranging from Arctic cold to desert heat. They're not just adapted to their death world, Rico realized. They're preparing to export their violence to other worlds. The aliens' fear reached new heights when they learned that humans had nuclear weapons pointed at their own planet. The concept of mutually assured destruction was completely foreign to species that had evolved in peaceful environments. They hold their own world hostage, Cynthia whispered, her light patterns flickering with terror. What kind of species threatens to destroy their home planet? The observation period ended suddenly when the aliens made a terrible discovery. A young human named Sujin Yu, using nothing but a simple radio and some basic electronics, had detected their presence on the moon. Sujin was 16 years old and lived in Busan with her parents. She had built her radio equipment from spare parts as a hobby. On a quiet evening, while scanning frequencies, she picked up strange signals coming from the direction of the moon. "Mom, Dad," she called to her parents, "I think there's something on the moon. These signals aren't natural." Within hours, Sujin's discovery reached the Global Defense Network. Earth's governments demanded to know why aliens were spying on them from the moon. The secret observation was over. Commander Dektar received the human transmission with growing dread. These creatures had detected his advanced research station using primitive technology operated by a child. If their young could find hidden alien bases, what could their adults do? "Prepare for contact," he ordered his fleet. "They know we're here, and if they're anything like their planet, they won't be happy about uninvited guests." The aliens had learned much about humanity, but they understood less than ever. How could a species be so dangerous, yet so curious? How could they be so violent, yet so creative? The observation period had raised more questions than answers. One thing was certain: the humans were far more terrifying than their planet. That was saying something. Commander Thactor paced across his bridge, his 4 eyes darting between the screens, showing Earth below. The humans had discovered the moon base, and their governments were demanding answers. But the aliens still did not understand what made these creatures so dangerous. "Need to study them more closely," he told his science team. "Observation from space is not enough. We must learn how they think." The solution came from an unexpected source. Morphicus was a shape-shifting operative from the changeling worlds, species that could alter their appearance to match any life form. She had joined the expedition as a security specialist, but her unique abilities made her perfect for a dangerous mission. "I can take human form," she offered. "I will live among them and learn their true nature." Dektar was hesitant. "The world is too dangerous. You could be killed by their weather, their creatures, or their food." "I have studied their biology," Morphicus replied. "I can adapt my form to survive their environment, but I cannot adapt my mind to think like them. That is what we need to discover." The infiltration plan was simple. Quakes would take the form of a human adult and integrate into their society. She would observe their daily behavior, learn their customs, and report back on what made them so terrifying. Morphicus chose to land near the coastal city of Busan. She had studied human appearance from the orbital scans and crafted a form that would blend in. Her new body was small and fragile compared to her natural state, but it could survive in Earth's harsh environment. The first human she encountered was Kung Soo Han, fisherman who was preparing his boat for the morning catch. He was a weathered man in his 50s who had spent his entire life working on the dangerous seas around Korea. "Are you lost?" Kung Soo asked when he saw the confused-looking stranger standing on the dock at dawn. Morphicus had prepared for this moment. "Yes, I am not from here. I need help." Kung Soo looked at her more carefully. Something seemed off about this person, but he could not identify what it was. Her clothes were clean, but oddly styled. Her posture was too perfect. Her eyes moved constantly, as if she was studying everything around her. "Tourist," he asked, "you picked a bad time to visit. Storm season is coming." Storm season. Orcs had read about Earth's weather patterns, but hearing a human discuss them so casually was disturbing. "Typhoons," Kung Su explained. "Wind strong enough to flip cars. Rain that floods the streets. We'll probably lose power for a few days, but that's normal for this time of year." He spoke about potentially deadly weather conditions, the way most species would discuss a minor inconvenience. Morphkis felt her first wave of fear since taking human form. "Are you not afraid?" she asked. Kyung Su laughed. "Afraid? I've been through dozens of storms. You learn to prepare and ride them out. Want some coffee? You look like you need it." This was Morphkis' first encounter with human kindness, and it confused her completely. Her briefings had described humans as violent predators, but this one was offering help to a stranger who was clearly not from his community. Kung Su brought her to a small cafe near the harbor. The owner, an elderly woman, welcomed them with a smile and served coffee that smelled like it could dissolve metal. Orphkis watched in horror as the humans consumed the black liquid without any apparent discomfort. "Try it," Kung Su urged. "It's good for you." Morphkis sipped the coffee and felt her disguised digestive system rebel. The substance was acidic enough to etch glass, yet humans drank it regularly and seemed to enjoy it. She forced herself to swallow and smile. "Very good," she lied. Over the following days, Kyung Su helped the strange newcomer understand local customs. He introduced her to other fishermen, shopkeepers, and residents of his neighborhood. Everyone was curious about the foreigner, but they were also helpful and patient. Morphkis observed human daily life with growing alarm. She watched people eat foods that would poison most galactic species. Spicy kimchi that made her eyes water. Fermented fish that smelled like chemical weapons. Raw seafood that could carry deadly parasites. "Do you survive eating this?" she asked during one meal. "Survive?" Kung Su looked puzzled. "This is just food. Good food makes you strong." She watched humans exercise by deliberately damaging their bodies and lifted heavy weights until their muscles screamed in protest. They ran long distances until their lungs burned. They practiced martial arts that involved controlled violence. "Why? Do you hurt yourselves?" she asked a group of teenagers at a local jam. "We're not hurting ourselves," one of them replied. "We're getting stronger. Pain is just weakness leaving the body." The concept was alien to Morphkis. Species avoided pain and discomfort. These humans seemed to seek it out as a path to improvement. The breaking point came when teacher Jian-O invited Morphkis to visit her elementary school. Jian thought the foreign visitor might be interested in seeing how Korean children learned. "We would love to have you speak to our students," Jian said. "They are always excited to meet someone from another country." Morphkis found herself in a classroom full of human children, ages 8 to 10. They were small, curious, and completely fearless. They asked questions about our homeland and listened to her carefully prepared stories about a peaceful country far away. Then the lesson began, and Morphkis witnessed something that shattered her understanding of human nature. "Today we'll review earthquake safety," Kian announced to the class. The children immediately moved into practiced positions. Keen, they dropped to their hands and knees, crawled under their desks, and covered their heads with their arms. Held this position for 30 seconds, then emerged and lined up for orderly evacuation. "Very good," Jian praised them. "Remember, if you feel shaken, don't run. Drop, cover, and hold on." Morphkis watched in horror as the teacher continued the lesson. Maps showed fault lines running under their city. Videos demonstrated how earthquakes could topple buildings and create tsunamis. Statistics listed previous disasters and casualty numbers. "Who can tell me what to do if you're separated from your family during an emergency?" Jian asked. Multiple hands shot up. Children as young as 8 described meeting points, emergency supplies, and communication plans. They discussed these topics with the same enthusiasm other species' children might show when talking about games or toys. We also need to remember fire safety, Jian continued. Okay, and what to do during typhoons. The lesson expanded to cover multiple types of disasters. Children learned about evacuation routes, emergency food storage, and first aid. They practiced putting on protective masks and using emergency radios. Any questions? Yuan asked. A small girl raised her hand. Teacher, what if aliens invade? My dad says there are spaceships near the moon. Well, Gian said thoughtfully, I suppose we'd treat it like any other emergency. Stay calm, follow instructions, and help each other. Get the casual way, she discussed. Potential alien invasion, as if it were just another item on the disaster preparedness list. Was the final straw for Morphicus. These humans trained their young to survive anything the universe could throw at them, and they did it with smiles and patience. That evening, as Morphicus watched the local news, she saw reports about the alien ships. The human population was not panicking. Instead, they were preparing. Military reserves were being activated. Emergency supplies were being distributed. Scientists were working to understand alien technology. The news anchors discussed the situation with the same calm professionalism they used for weather reports. They interviewed experts who calmly explained possible scenarios and appropriate responses. They showed footage of children drawing pictures of aliens and asking if they could be friends. You've survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and natural disasters. One expert said, we'll figure out how to handle this, too. Morphicus realized she was watching a species that had turned survival into an art form. They did not just endure hardship, they embraced it as a chance to become stronger. They did not fear the unknown, they studied it and prepared for it the next morning. During the local festival, celebrating the end of fishing season, Morphicus finally broke. She watched humans celebrating their survival through another year of dangerous weather and hazardous work. They consumed substances that would kill most aliens and performed traditional dances that looked like combat training. Children played games that involved simulated battles and survival challenges. Adults told stories about overcoming disasters and honoring those who had died in the struggle. Everyone seemed proud of their ability to thrive in conditions that would exterminate most galactic civilizations. Are you all right? Kungsu asked, noticing that his foreign friend looked pale and shaky. Morphicus could not answer. Her carefully maintained human form began to flicker as her control slipped. Kungsu's eyes widened in alarm as her appearance shifted and wavered. I have to go, she whispered, then ran from the festival before her disguise failed completely. She fled to her hidden shuttle and launched immediately, abandoning her mission and leaving Earth's atmosphere as fast as her ship could carry her. Behind her, the festival continued, humans celebrating their deadly world with joy and laughter. The Valoran Council met in emergency session aboard the flagship. Representatives from 12 different species gathered in the Great Chamber, their various forms creating a bizarre assembly of scales, crystals, energy fields, and exotic matter. They had all heard Morphicus's report about human society, and fear filled the room like toxic gas. These humans are a threat to galactic civilization, declared Council Leader Vextera, a massive creature whose rocky shell could withstand asteroid impacts. They have weaponized their own death world and trained their young for constant warfare. The evidence is clear, added Counselor Ethkep, whose gaseous form rippled with nervous energy. They consume poison for pleasure, practice violence as recreation, and celebrate surviving disasters. This is not normal behavior for any civilized species. Commander Dektar stood before the council, his 4 eyes reflecting the lights of their various bioluminescent members. What do you recommend we do about them? Fleet Admiral Grenthok rose from his seat. He was a veteran of the Galactic Peacekeeping Forces, a being whose species had ended wars across 3 star systems. His metallic skin gleamed as he spoke. We give them one chance, he announced. They submit to mental reconditioning to remove their violent tendencies, or we sterilize their world from orbit. The galaxy cannot risk these creatures spreading beyond their death planet. The vote was unanimous. Every species represented in the council agreed that humanity posed an existential threat to galactic peace. They would issue an ultimatum, and, if the humans refused, Earth would be destroyed. On Earth, President Sun Hai-un received the alien transmission in her office in Seoul. The message was clear and terrifying. Surrender for mental reconditioning or face complete destruction. The aliens gave humanity 24 hours to decide. They want to lobotomize our entire species, Defense Minister Zhang Wanshin said after reading the full message. They think our ability to survive and fight makes us mentally ill. President called an emergency meeting of Earth's united government. Leaders from every nation gathered via secure video link to discuss humanity's response. The debate was surprisingly short. We cannot allow aliens to alter our minds, declared the representative from Brazil. That would make us slaves. Vias, because we are strong, added the delegate from Nigeria. Weakness has never protected anyone. They want to fight, said the representative from Russia. They chose the wrong species to threaten. President Bond looked around at the faces on her screen. She saw determination, not fear. She saw leaders who had been chosen precisely because they could make hard decisions under pressure. Then we are agreed, she said. We reject their ultimatum. During the emergency session, Dr. Youngmin Beek revealed what his team had been working on in secret. While the aliens watched and studied humans, Earth's scientists had been reverse engineering the alien technology found after first contact. We've learned to replicate their energy systems, he explained to the assembled leaders. Their weapons work on principles we can understand and counter. They're advanced, but not magical, defense systems that have been disguised as weather monitoring. Stations came online around the globe. Satellites that appeared to be communication relays revealed their true purpose as weapons platforms. Underground facilities that the public thought were research labs opened to reveal advanced defensive equipment. We've been preparing for this since we first detected their ships, explained Colonel Jaeyon Kim, head of the Secret Defense Project. We learned from our own history. When facing a technologically superior enemy, you use guerrilla tactics and turn their advantages against them. The alien fleet positioned itself for bombardment, expecting the primitive humans to surrender when faced with overwhelming force. Fleet Admiral Grinthok prepared to give the order to fire when his weapons officer reported a problem. Sir, our primary weapons are offline. The targeting systems are not responding. What do you mean, not responding? Grinthok demanded. All weapon systems show green status, but they will not fire. It appears to be some kind of software malfunction. Earth cyber warfare specialist Naeon Kwan smiled as she watched her code work its way through alien computer systems. Working with her partner Changmin Park, she had developed viruses based on Earth's hostile electromagnetic environment. Their computers aren't used to dealing with chaotic inputs, she explained to her team. They expect clean, predictable data streams. Our malware mimics Earth's electromagnetic storms and solar radiation bursts. Their systems can't handle it. The alien weapons failed one by one as human-designed chaos spread through their networks. Systems that had worked perfectly for millennia crashed when confronted with software that had learned to survive in Earth's electrically violent environment. How is this possible? Fleet Admiral Grinthok demanded. Their technology is primitive. His communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. President On appeared on the alien view screen, flanked by her military advisors. Behind her, through the windows of her office, the lights of Seoul sparkled in the night. You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous, she said calmly. Not that we're violent. Instead, we never give up. You can break our weapons, destroy our cities, even kill most of our people. But as long as one human survives, we'll find a way to fight back. Your weapons are disabled, Fleet Admiral Grenthok replied. Surrender now and accept reconditioning, or we will find other ways to destroy you. Our weapons were never our real strength. President Aln smiled. How do you like to see what humans do when we're truly threatened? Across Earth, military recruitment centers were flooded with volunteers. The alien ultimatum had not created panic or despair. Instead, it had awakened something primal in human nature. The same instinct that had driven them to survive ice ages and plagues, now focused on a new threat. Factory workers volunteered for crash courses in military tactics. University students organized resistance cells. Grandparents taught their grandchildren how to build improvised weapons. Children drew pictures of themselves fighting aliens and winning. The first skirmish began when human pilot Woo Jin Choi engaged an alien scout ship over the Pacific Ocean. His fighter aircraft was primitive compared to alien technology. Abati had advantages the aliens did not expect. Woo Jin had learned to fly in Earth's chaotic weather. He could navigate through storms that would ground any sane pilot. When the alien ship tried to track him, he used techniques developed for flying through hurricanes and tornadoes. He's flying in patterns that should be impossible, the alien pilot reported. His aircraft cannot withstand these acceleration forces. But Woo Jin had trained his entire life for high-stress flight. His body could handle G-forces that would crush most alien species. His mind could process multiple threats while maintaining control in turbulent conditions. The alien scout ship, designed for civilized space combat, could not adapt to Earth-style aerial warfare. Woo Jin disabled it using tactics that combined military strategy with storm survival techniques. Possible, Fleet Admiral Grenthok whispered as he watched the primitive aircraft defeat his advanced scout ship. How can they fight like this? More human aircraft appeared, each one flown by pilots who had learned their skills in Earth's hostile skies. Used their planet's own atmospheric violence as a weapon, leading alien ships into storm systems that tore apart advanced hulls. The aliens retreated to a safer altitude, but their fear was growing. These humans were not just surviving their attacks, they were learning from them. Each engagement taught the humans new tactics while revealing alien weaknesses. Sir, Dector reported to Fleet Admiral Grenthok, we need to consider the possibility that we cannot defeat them through conventional warfare. That's impossible, Grenthok replied. It's primitives from a death world. Yes, sir, Dector said quietly. Okay, that's exactly the problem. Below them, Earth cities lit up with activity, as humans prepared for war. But it was not the panicked preparation of a civilization facing extinction. It was the methodical, determined preparation of a species that had survived everything the universe could throw at them in military bases around the world. Human soldiers studied alien tactics and developed countermeasures in research facilities. Scientists worked to understand alien weaknesses. In homes and schools, civilians practiced emergency procedures with the same calm efficiency they used for earthquake drills. They're treating this like another natural disaster, observed Frackle from the Lunar Observation Post. They're not afraid of us. They're just adapting to a new threat. The terrible truth was becoming clear to the alien invaders. They had not discovered a primitive species cowering on a death world. They had found Earth's apex predators, creatures so dangerous that their own planet feared them. And now those predators knew that the galaxy contained other worlds, other species, other challenges to overcome. The ultimatum had failed, but the real war was just beginning. The aliens had awakened something in humanity that they did not understand and could not control. They had turned Earth's greatest strength against them. They had given humans a reason to leave their death world and explore the stars. Fleet Admiral Grenthok stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. Quote, his fleet was approaching for what he hoped would be the final assault. The cyber attacks had been contained, his weapons were back online, and he had gathered every available ship for one overwhelming strike. This ends today, he declared to his officers. We will demonstrate galactic superiority and force these primitives to surrender. But as the fleet closed distance with Earth, something unexpected happened. The planet's defenders were not hiding or running. Instead, human ships rose to meet them, crude vessels that should have been helpless against alien technology. Major Insuk Chang led the first wave of human fighters. She had trained for this moment her entire career, but nothing could have prepared her for actual combat against aliens. Her squadron consisted of pilots from around the world, each one carrying weapons that Earth's engineers had built from reverse-engineered alien technology. Remember, she transmitted to her pilots, they expect us to fight like civilized species. Show them what Earth teaches its children. The human fighters attacked in patterns that violated every rule of space combat the aliens knew. They used debris fields as cover, exploited gravitational effects, and coordinated their movements like a school of fish avoiding predators. They're flying like they're underwater, observed the alien tactical officer. These maneuvers should be impossible in space. They learn to fly on a world where the atmosphere tries to kill them, Vectar replied grimly. They're applying those lessons to space combat. Engineer Sengyuko had spent weeks preparing for this battle, working in an underground facility beneath Seoul. He had created weapons from materials no civilized species would consider using, radioactive elements that Earth geology had concentrated in dangerous quantities, toxic compounds that Earth's lifeforms had evolved to produce, explosive mixtures based on Earth's volatile atmospheric chemistry. These devices violate 17 galactic weapons treaties, his assistant warned him. Good thing we never signed those treaties, Sang-yuk replied, arming another improvised weapon. Besides, we're just using what our planet gave us. The first alien ship to experience human ingenuity was a Valoran cruiser that approached too close to Earth's atmosphere. Sang-yuk's team launched projectiles filled with Earth's most corrosive materials, substances that could eat through any known metal. Hull breach on Deck 7. The Valoran damage control officer reported. The breach is expanding. The human weapon is dissolving our hull. That's impossible, the ship's captain replied. Our armor can withstand stellar radiation, not Earth radiation, apparently, came the grim response. As the battle continued, the aliens discovered that humans had been hiding their true capabilities. What looked like primitive technology was actually carefully disguised advanced systems. Earth's scientists have been preparing for this fight since the first alien contact. Dr. Yoon-Hai Sim revealed the truth during a transmission to the alien fleet. She appeared on their screens from a bunker deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, surrounded by equipment that the aliens suddenly recognized as far more sophisticated than they had assumed. You think we're primitive because we use simple materials, she told them, but we've had to be clever to survive on this world. We've learned to make advanced technology from basic elements because that's all our planet gave us. Behind her, the aliens could see weapon systems built from Earth metals, power sources based on Earth's magnetic field, and computers that used Earth's electrical storms as processing power. The humans had turned their death world into a fortress. Pilot Jayan Moon demonstrated human adaptability during the battle's most intense moment. When his fighters' main weapons failed, he improvised new tactics in real time, using his ship's engine exhaust as a weapon. He disabled an alien fighter by superheating its hull until the pilot was forced to eject. How did he do that? The alien squadron leader demanded. He used his propulsion system as a plasma torch, his tactical officer replied. It's crude, but effective. That should have destroyed his own ship too. Human technology is built to survive their planet's environment. Apparently, that includes withstanding their own weapons. Tactical Officer Hyujin Bei coordinated the human defense from a command center that the aliens had dismissed as a weather monitoring station. She had studied alien psychology during the observation period and knew exactly how to exploit their fears. Launch Sequence 7, she ordered. Show them our population centers. The aliens watched in horror as human cities revealed their true nature. What they had thought were defenseless civilian areas opened to reveal weapons platforms, shield generators, and launch facilities. Every human settlement was a military base, disguised as a peaceful community. They've militarized their entire planet, Rakel observed from his monitoring station. Every human is a potential soldier. Not potential, Fluxanon corrected. They are soldiers. They've been at war with their own world for millennia. We're just another enemy. The turning point came when the aliens realized the most terrifying truth about humanity. Despite their overwhelming firepower advantage, despite their advanced technology, despite their numerical superiority, they were losing. Commander Thecta made the discovery that broke his fleet's will to fight. While analyzing human communications during the battle, he found something that chilled him to his core. Sir, he reported to Fleet Admiral Grenthok, the humans have been holding back. What do you mean, holding back? Our intelligence was wrong. The weapons they're using, the tactics they're employing, these are not their best capabilities. They're testing us, learning our weaknesses, while keeping their most dangerous assets in reserve. The evidence was in their communications. Human commanders discussing weapons they had not yet deployed. Military units that had not joined the battle. Technologies that remained hidden. The humans were treating this fight like a training exercise. They're not fighting for survival, Thectar continued. They're fighting to see what we're capable of. They want to understand us before they decide what to do with us. Fleet Admiral Grenthok felt fear for the first time in his long military career. You mean they could have destroyed us already? Yes, sir. Okay. And the most terrifying part is that they chose not to. The final revelation came from an unexpected source. President Sun Hee opened a direct communication channel to the alien fleet. Her image appearing on every screen in their armada. We know you're afraid of us, she said calmly. We know you think we're monsters because we survive in conditions that would kill you, but you made one critical error in your assessment. Fleet Admiral Grenthok found himself responding despite his better judgment. What error? You assumed we wanted to harm you, President Ton replied. We've been trying to be friendly since our first meeting. Everything you've seen, all the capabilities that terrify you, we've been holding back to avoid scaring you. The words hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. They had interpreted human restraint as primitive weakness. They had mistaken mercy for inability. You came to our world, President continued, studied us in secret, judged us as monsters, and demanded our surrender. And still, we tried to solve this peacefully. Even now, we're not using our full strength against you. What do you want from us? Fleet Admiral Grenthok asked, his voice barely a whisper. We want what we've always wanted, she replied. To live in peace. But if you force us to fight, you'll discover why our planet made us so strong. You'll learn why even our world's disasters fear us. The alien fleet began to retreat, but President Ton was not finished. Tell the galaxy what you found here, she said. Tell them that Earth's most dangerous predators tried to be friends. Tell them that we offered peace before we showed our true nature. And tell them that if anyone else comes here with hostile intentions, we won't be so merciful. Commander Dector transmitted the retreat order to his fleet. As the alien ships fled Earth's solar system, he composed his final report to the Galactic Council. Earth is not just a death world, he wrote. It is home to creatures so perfectly adapted to violence, and survival that they make their planet's natural disasters seem gentle by comparison. They have technology we cannot understand, tactics we cannot counter, and a will that cannot be broken. Most terrifying of all, his report concluded, they were trying to be peaceful. What we encountered was humanity showing restraint. Galaxy must never discover what they are capable of when they stop holding back. The alien fleet spread word throughout the galaxy. Earth was to be avoided at all costs. The Death World had spawned creatures so dangerous that even their mercy was terrifying. Humanity found themselves alone in the cosmos once again. But now they knew they were not truly alone. Somewhere out there among the stars were other worlds and other species. The same curiosity that had driven them to explore Earth's most hostile environments now turned toward the galaxy beyond. They had wanted to make friends among the stars. Instead, they had become the galaxy's greatest nightmare. But perhaps, someday, when other species were ready to accept what evolution had created on Earth, humanity might find the peaceful contact they had always desired.